Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Chat, October 10, 2020.
Good morning.
Knows what food is. She says, I'm on lunch again.
Hey, she needs more than berries. The seeds as well. Yes, she does.
What were you showing her?
Oh, how pretty. What are their names?
This is Jade. You asked about her a couple of weeks ago. She's the loud talker and screamer in the mornings. And this is Ruby. She's Miss Frady Cat.
Ruby?
Yeah, because she has a red tail. Would
Oh,
you behave?
Hey, Ruby. Does she talk?
Yes. They both do. The Amazon Jade, she likes to mimic my mother and harass her.
That is too funny. Hey, Ruby. You're a pretty girl. Yeah, you know you are. Good morning, Ruby. Oh, look at those pretty tail feathers.
I figured I would show you because you asked about it.
Well, thank you. That is so cool. Of course, they're quiet when you, for now.
Yeah, they're quiet when you don't necessarily want them to be quiet, and then when you want them to be quiet so you can get some rest, work done.
Just like kids.
Yeah, kids did the same thing.
Yeah.
Mine are old enough now; they've kind of learned not to do that anymore. What?
Good morning, Joan.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's raining out here, so it's one of them sleepy days.
And that's Florida or Louisiana?
It's North Carolina.
North Carolina. So are you guys getting the weather from the hurricane?
Just a little, just rain, just the rain part, not wind or anything.
Good morning, Zarek.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am doing well this great Saturday morning.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, well, even in Michigan.
Even in Michigan. Y'all had a cold spell go through, didn't
Oh,
you?
we did. We had to turn the heat on.
Oh no, that's way too early for that.
Where are you, Dr. Hill?
Central Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our cold front, when it came through here, it dropped it down to, I think the low was 72.
Oh, that's hot here.
Yeah, that's cold here.
Yeah, 50 is warm here too. So, so.
I remember being in Indiana, you couldn't wait for those 50-degree days so you could put your shorts on. And
That's exactly right.
yeah, not here. You get used to the hot very quickly, and 70 is chilly. Pathetic sounding, I know. But so how's your week been?
Great. I'm leading this initiative to bring back our students to a hybrid model, and so I'm one of the 3 people creating it for the district. And so we had all the district cabinet members and just everybody to kind of hear the presentation of the plan. And so we're just trying to figure it out here in Michigan.
So are people pretty open to what you have presented?
Yes, our superintendent, she wanted a hybrid model due to the fact that specifically where we are in Southfield, Michigan, it's near Detroit. Southfield was one of the first places in Michigan to have cases. And so they grew and grew. And so our families have lost so many lives. And so
Oh,
so the families are okay with us moving at a slow pace, getting back into the schools based on that. So
this
they
must be
understand it.
Douglas. Excuse me just a moment.
Okay.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Dr. Hill.
Good morning, Douglas.
This is Douglas. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're,
I've been very ill all night. I think I may have the COVID. I didn't want to forget you. I wanted to tune into the meeting.
what,
Thank you so much for understanding.
okay, well, hold on just a moment, please. Okay, give me just a moment, please. I'll be right back.
All right.
Thank y'all so much. My brother just popped in and had to give him a hug. Douglas, I hope you get, Douglas, I hope you get the feeling better soon.
So much. And thank you for getting back to me too on my dissertation. We appreciate your input. I'm excited to hear more from you on that. I know I have a lot of work to do. We appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a big group this morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Lisa, missed you last week.
Morning.
Yes.
Morning.
Good morning, Alicia, Dahlia, and Sonia.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, let's start off with just a question and answer. Does anybody have any questions about anything going on in the class this week? Or I'm going to cover the assignment description at the end of the meeting.
Well, just one quick thing, real quickly.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, doctor, in class, when we use the first person personal pronoun I, when we were describing our using communication, what we learned from our mentors and interviews.
Yeah, because it is an interview and you're going to be discussing your personal insights about it. Whenever you see the word personal or reflection in an assignment, that is your thumbs up to be able to use first and second person. So that's a key term to really look for in assignment
Yeah, I'll look
descriptions.
for that word personal. Thank you very much.
Personal, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Well, next week, starting Tuesday, we're going to start looking at the problem and purpose statements in your research plan from 709. Again, if you've not submitted your research plan that you would like for me to review prior to that, please do so. I think most of y'all have. Okay. I can't stress enough that the problem statement is the absolute foundation for your research study. It is going to, it sets the stage. It's one little sentence, but it sets the stage for the entire dissertation. And I want to emphasize again, you know, in Res 709, the main goal was for you to learn how to put together a research plan. And now is when you start tweaking that plan. You'll tweak that plan during this class. You will, that's not a problem, Zarek. Thank you for letting me know. You'll start tweaking it in this class. You'll continue to add to it and continue tweaking it, your research plan, up until 7:15, and that's when you're going to be assigned a chair, and that chair will help you with that process even more. But guys, between now and 7:15, do not set this document aside and think that it's going to be a sleeping baby. You need to keep that thing active and alive. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, I said you need to dedicate a minimum of 15 minutes a day to your study. And that starts 2 months ago.
Wow.
So if you've not disciplined yourself to start doing that yet, really, really work on doing that. 15 to 30 minutes a day. Because what you do now, between now and 7:15, is crucial. You're not going to have another dissertation class. You're going to be working in your program of studies. You're going to be taking courses there, but do not let this baby sit there. It'll starve to death. It needs to be changed. It needs to be tweaked. It needs to be fed. Continue working on your research plan.
Dr. Hill, I think and thank you for sharing that, because I have a lot of doctoral friends who said they didn't start their process until like the 8th class. And they wish they would have started it earlier on in the program so that they could have been walked through and kind of had that 15 minutes a day. And so I appreciate University of Phoenix for setting up this, because I've heard horror stories.
Well, and the PhD program that I went through in Indiana State, it was set up that way. Take, a full year of courses, and then you start the dissertation process. And that's what I really, really appreciate and respect about UOP's dissertation journey, is you're introduced to it in your very first class. Start thinking about a problem that's aligned with your program of studies in your professional field. And then, I say this all the time, this is a progression. It's a slow progression to get you into the dissertation. It's a process. Trust that process, and don't think, and I see this all the time whenever students enter into 741, which is the class where your proposal is accepted or rejected. But I see so many students coming into 741 saying, nobody told me I needed to continue working on it. Well, you guys have been told. So if I see you in 741 or 742 and you're going, nobody told me, I'm going to go, oh, let me recount this discussion on October 10, 2020. But anyway, you've been forewarned. So please do so. So what I want to go over this morning is I want to provide you some more information about the problem statement, because that is the critical piece to the whole research study.
Dr. Hill, is it possible we could, are your PowerPoints posted online?
No, but Zarek, I can post them.
That would be very beneficial.
Agreed. I was really hoping last week's one would be there. If you could, thank you.
Not a problem. Would it be best to post them as a private message, or each week, wherever I have the announcement with the recording link? What would be best for y'all?
Is there a place on Blackboard where you can just have documents
I can
accessible?
create that. I can create that. I will create, let me make me a note here, Zarek. I'm going to create a folder above week 1, so it's easily accessible.
That would be great.
Okay. And so I'll put them in there. Thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you, Zarek.
Way to go, Zarek. Okay, so as I said, the problem statement, can't state this enough. It is the very, very foundation of your research study. It's going to drive your research study. That's why it takes, and know that even for a seasoned researcher, it takes a long time to formulate a well-structured, stated problem statement. You look at a problem statement, it's one simple sentence and you're thinking, oh, this is a piece of cake. I can kick this out in 10 minutes. Oh, no, you can't. So the problem statement, the first thing you want to do before you make that specific one sentence problem statement is you want to provide the reader with some background to the problem. And in week 6, in DQ1, you're going to find a problem statement worksheet. In DQ2, you're going to find a purpose statement worksheet. And that's what I want to go over today. That way I can get you all to be thinking about this. So the elements of a well-structured problem statement, the first thing you need to do in 3 to 4 or 5 sentences, provide the reader with some background to that and to the problem. And this is an example pulled straight out of that worksheet that I just told you about. So the focus of this study was on male caregivers of women who have breast cancer. So breast cancer and the harsh treatment for the disease affects not only patients, but their caretakers. While caring for a breast cancer patient, caregivers face physical and mental challenges while still assuming caretaking responsibilities. Caregiving often becomes a full-time responsibility, which can last for many years. Husbands are often the primary caregiver for wives diagnosed with breast cancer. A majority of caregivers report caregiving is a burden physically, psychologically, economically, socially, and personally. Now, you notice this is well substantiated. It is written well. Based on that list of kind of a sidebar question, based on that list of words to avoid in scholarly writing, do you see any of those words in this background statement?
No.
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 And do you notice how well how it flows nicely? It starts broad and it goes narrow, and also it's very succinct. And the reader has absolutely no question about what this is talking about. It's very, very clear. It's very, very concise and specific in wording. Every word has a purpose. So that is the background to the problem. You want to provide some background before you state the problem. That I see a lot of people that state the problem and then provide the background. But if you just stop and think about it logically, you know, the reader wants some background first. You're sort of like building a storyline, a plot. You know, here it is. And then you go to the, then you're going to state the problem and you're going to support it with literature. And the very basic structure of a problem statement, a one sentence, is the problem is blah, 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 resulting in. You have to provide a consequence to that problem. I know that especially guys, and this is not a punitive statement at all, guys just want to solve a problem. You give them a problem and they're going to solve it. That's their makeup. And we're thankful for that. But guys, don't solve this problem in your problem statement, because if you want to solve it, then you don't have a problem anymore. So don't try to solve the problem in your problem statement. So then you want to provide some scholarly support for the problem. You've given them some background, you've made your problem statement. Now give a little bit more support of why this problem is important. According to Family Caregiving Alliance, caregivers are aware their own good health means providing better care for patients, yet feel guilty for choosing to care for themselves. Caregivers can become psychologically and physically ill when self-care is not practiced, which reduces the ability to care for their ailing spouse. Do you notice how that support mirrors and is aligned with the background to the problem and to the problem statement itself? All of this is in alignment, and that means that it's everything is talking to each other, so you know what's going on. Indicate potential benefit for addressing the problem. This doesn't say to solve the problem. What are some benefits that may occur from you addressing this problem? One of the benefits is gaining male caregivers' perspectives on barriers preventing good self-care could lead. It doesn't say will, it says could lead to the development of interventions and resources for male caregivers to begin practicing good self-care. So just to test your awareness here, gaining perspectives on barriers. What do you think methodology is going to be used here?
Qualitative.
Qualitative.
Qualitative. And what type of design do you think this may be?
Case study.
I would think a case study. It wouldn't fit into a phenomenological study because it isn't something that's going on right now. And they're wanting to gain perspectives. So I would say case study. Let's see what happens. So we're going to pull it all together. This is the problem statement section. It is the background to the problem statement, and then supporting evidence for the problem. And that's everything that was previous, but that's how you break it down. Provide some background. Then after you provide the reader with some background, then you make your problem statement. And that problem statement must be substantiated with literature. It must be a stated problem in the literature. If not, it's going to come off as your opinion or your personal bias. And that's something that we want to totally avoid in research. That's why it is important for you to substantiate all definitive statements in research. So we've got the problem statement, and now we're providing a little bit more background information. And we're ending up letting the reader know this could possibly be a qualitative case study. So now what we're going to do, now that we have a good problem statement, now we need to state the purpose for your study. The purpose statement describes the goal of the study and includes the following elements. The purpose statement, you're going to state the population that that's going to be involved, the geographic location, and your methodology. And you start with, and there's a worksheet in DQ2 to step you through this, guys. The purpose of this proposed qualitative exploratory study, so it is a qualitative study, is to explore. Now in qualitative studies, guys, you're either going to explore, explain, or describe. So I encourage you to go to the dissertation guide in CDS Central, read up on those differences, and distinguish which one is, if you're going to choose qualitative, which type of qualitative study are you doing? Are you going to be explaining? Are you going to be exploring? Or are you going to be describing? So the purpose of this proposed qualitative exploratory study is to explore why male caregivers do not practice good self-care and explore barriers preventing good self-care practices. 10 male caregivers from Dallas, Texas, caring for wives with breast cancer will participate in semi-structured interviews. The purpose of the interviews is to describe why male caregivers do not practice good self-care and describe possible barriers preventing good self-care practices. Results of the study could encourage male caregivers to implement good self-care practices to avoid becoming physically and psychologically ill. Now, do you notice how the reader or the writer didn't go off on a tangent and try to convince you that the reason for their study? They're giving you the facts, they're giving you specifics, they're stepping you through what is going to happen. And do you notice how this purpose statement is mirroring, it is aligning with the problem statement? They're speaking to each other. That's what the alignment is. I underlined these areas to show you that these elements of what a good structured purpose statement, how it's being covered in this purpose statement. We've got the purpose of this. The population is going to be 10 male caregivers. The geographic location, Dallas, Texas. The research methodology, qualitative. So all of those critical elements are all in that purpose statement. Any questions? Head spinning?
Well, Doctor,
Yes, sir.
in the problem statement, do you want us to write what amounts to a paragraph? As you notice in mine, I tried to say everything in one sentence, and it was too long, as you said, too complex and complicated with hefty vocabulary, which obviously I don't want to do. I'm so sorry.
No.
But is it more like a paragraph? I'm a little bit confused there.
Yeah, it's about a paragraph, to begin with, Douglas. And just know that what you're doing right now with your problem and purpose statements, again, none of you are going to let this piece of paper sit for 8 months before you get into 715. You're going to continually work on it. You're going to continually research your topic. The more you research your topic and find what has been studied, is going to provide you direction on what you need to do in your study. Get in there in the literature. You've got to know what's in the literature. But yes, Douglas, if you go to week 6 DQ2, there is a purpose statement worksheet that can walk you through this so that you end up with a...
Fantastic to have role models utilized. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So that way, and it's about a paragraph to begin with, but you're going to be adding to that as you continue through the process.
Yeah, the temptation for me, probably as a man, like you said, is to want to solve that problem. So I just dive right into the problem.
Yeah, no, you don't.
You know, didn't make much sense.
And it's okay to have a hopeful solution in the back of your mind. For example, when I did my dissertation, I had a gut feeling that the leadership characteristics of the lead teachers, principals, coordinators of the at-risk programs throughout Indiana, I looked at the effectiveness of the programs, and then I had the leaders take a questionnaire based off of Bass and Abilio's MLQ, and I was able to see, and I had an idea in the back of my mind, that a transformational leader is going to be more effective in helping at-risk youth become academically proficient. That was my hope, but I didn't know until I gathered my data. But my data did show the same thing. So you can have an idea of what you're hoping is going to show, but you can't make those statements in your problem and purpose statement or anywhere in your dissertation, because you don't know what the data is going to show you. You never know. And it could be totally surprising to you. That's another reason why we are having all of these discussions about recognizing your personal biases, noting that you do have very strong opinions. It's important that you recognize those early on so that you can eliminate that verbiage in your research. and you don't want to solve the problem. So we've got the problem statement, we've got the purpose statement, and I just pulled the one sentence out of the purpose statement so that we could look at these two. I apologize for my dog. My brother just left. Gizzy, hey. So I pulled the problem and the purpose statements. I want to make sure that we have alignment. Now, we do know that there's alignment to the program of studies because this student is in the DHA program, the health. So the problem is male caregivers. Now, do I have male caregivers in my purpose statement? Yes, I do. Have a demanding and exhausting caretaking schedule resulting in, what's the consequence? Failure to practice good self-care. And yes, that is the purpose for my study. I'm going to explore why male caregivers do not practice good self-care. So those two are speaking to each other. They are beautifully aligned. And that's what you want. Cheryl, do you just always sit and smile, hon?
Yeah, my
Okay.
younger son just came in to say good morning.
Okay, well, that would put a smile on my face too.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions about the problem and purpose statement at this point?
And you want the purpose statement to be much more concise, precise, and less woody, maybe maximum of two complete quality sentences.
The purpose statement, it just all depends, Douglas. It has to be very concise and specific in wording. You know, the beginning of your purpose statement, you want to make the purpose statement itself and then provide some information. A good solid paragraph would work. Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. So the week 5 assignment, let me bring that up. So during week 5, what did y'all think of the video for DQ1?
I think it was really very revealing. That really helped me to focus on what scholarly communication is really all about. It really took me beyond the perspective exchange mode to really begin to siphon off and to take apart step by step, work in progress, the inner needs of communications. For me, that was its weight in gold.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody? Lisa?
I felt that the video, it's current to the times that we're experiencing right now, that it's really a time to step up with a social revolution in ways of caring for diversity and embracing it and not marginalizing, but bringing together that cognitive empathy and trying to understand one another and each other's diversity.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. I love this video. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it because it's so powerful. And it's powerful. And if you keep in mind that the main focus of it is about communication.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything that has happened during this week is about communication. And as up and coming leaders or existing leaders in your professional field, when you stop and reflect on everything that we've discussed so far in this class, absolutely everything, if you absorb this information, start integrating it into your daily lives, it will help you to become the leader that you want to become. Communication is number one. You know, it's what It's what drives any relationship. And I don't use relationship in a loving relationship, but in any type of relationship. You know, my relationship with my brothers, my relationship with my children, it's all based on communication. Are we able to communicate? And it's the same way in a leadership position, and probably even more so. It's important as a leader that you not only are able to communicate your expectations to your followers, but it's also important that you are a good listener and that you can listen to them communicate to you about anything, absolutely anything. But I hope y'all have had an opportunity to sit back and reflect about how each week in this class is building on each other to the point of now. And this is the big moment before we start moving into the research plan again. It's about communication. So in this interview and observation assignment, it isn't just about, this isn't a job interview. This is about having a conversation with 2 or 3 people about communication. That's what this is about. And the only way that you can really make this connection with somebody is to have empathy, to understand their perspective, where they're coming from. You know, that's why you're encouraged to begin a dialogue with them using these cognitive empathy skills that you have become hopefully more aware of through this video and through the readings. You know, it says to spend a few minutes generating questions to guide the dialogue. And I have found that it only takes one question to start this conversation with anybody, whether it's somebody you know or somebody you just met on the street. And that is just simply to say, when you were a little child, when you were a little girl or a little boy, whatever, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up? And you'll just sit there and you'll watch them start thinking, oh, I always wanted to be a librarian. Oh, how awesome. Tell me more. Why were you thinking about becoming a librarian and now you're a nurse, but it gives them the opportunity to express something that maybe they haven't thought about in 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it'll create that spark in them to where they'll sit back and go, oh my gosh, you're really interested in this, aren't you? Let me tell you what I wanted to be when I was a little girl. That is opening up that door to cognitive empathy, making that personal human connection with somebody. And once you make that personal connection with them, and just become quiet and let them talk instead of you leading the conversation, it is amazing. I love doing this. Even if it's somebody that I just first met, that's a question that I'll ask them because I know it's going to start a conversation, and it's going to let that person know that I am interested in you and that I really do want to know more about you. And that to me is the key to good dialogue among people. So that's what this is all focused on, is how can you create a good dialogue? Now, if you find that it fails for you, then I encourage you and I challenge you to sit back and think, what could I have done differently? Did I talk too much? Did I lean in to let them know that I'm interested in really hearing what they're saying? What could I have done differently to have really created a stronger dialogue with this individual? That's why it's really important to, I know that with COVID and everything, we're very limited, but even on a Zoom call, if somebody's really interested, you're going to see them move closer to the camera. That's body language that you need to look for. What do they do with their hands? Do they look down? Do they look away? Notice all of those little things about that person, because sometimes it speaks louder than the words that they're saying. Oh, John.
That's true.
Oh, Doctor, in my case, I had a challenge to present. Maybe some of my classmates have the same concern, but I talked to two absolutely wonderful African-American people, colleagues at work, separately, of course. And they did a wonderful job, but they detailed more on communications and conveying ideas, African-American, white American race relations, which is wonderful, just absolutely wonderful and very timely.
Yes.
But it didn't really meet the need of the assignment. And it was, I'd never tell you about that, actually. I was sitting there somewhat nervous, thinking, how can I, Doctor, comport this beautiful, and it was beautiful prose that they're both pouring out about the history of African-American relations with whites and what's happening today into my essay.
What
And so I've encountered this massive diaspora of history of communication. It's not really the assignment. That's what worries me.
Yeah, it is meeting the assignment, because you created a rich dialogue. And that's what this assignment is all about. Guys, don't get hung up on, oh, I've got to do this interview and I've got this list of questions. Don't miss the purpose for this assignment. This
And
is,
that's what worried me. I had the question laid out, Doctor, and I was trying to fit the questions into their dialogue, and it was a beautiful experience. And it's so educational, so enriched with vocabulary and history. I was afraid that I wasn't re-answering the questions.
yeah, I would do this at face-to-face residencies, and it's just a phenomenal thing to watch. In the years that I have done this, I have had people open up. I would put them in triads, and they would open up about things that they have never talked to other people about. I had one young lady come out of the closet at residency one year. Another lady had just lost her husband to suicide. It was just phenomenal. But that is the goal, is to create this rich dialogue so that you can learn the history, whether it's a history of an individual or the history of culture. It's creating that freedom for somebody to open up and have this rich, and I want to emphasize rich dialogue. This isn't an interview process. This is what creates rich dialogue among people.
I'm glad you said that, Doctor. I got home Western time at 3 in the morning, and just completely frustrated. Not with them; these are wonderful people, but with myself, because I had this amalgamation, as you said, of very rich dialogue. And my peers agree with me, but it had something to do, but largely not only to do with the questions. And I thought, well, tear it apart and just write a ballpark estimate of communication. But I'm going to clarify it for me, is you want this dialogue.
Yeah, and guys, you brought up a good point that I really want to emphasize too, Douglas. Thank you. Whenever you're reading these assignment descriptions and you see the word consider the following, it's not saying answer the following. This is all about critical thinking. Consider the following. Did this exercise change your perspectives on a specific area or topic? Consider those questions. Do not answer those questions directly. I'm pushing you to get beyond analysis and evaluation. I am pushing you into synthesis. And the only way you can go from analysis and evaluation into synthesis is to use your critical thinking skills. And that takes reflection. That takes time for you to go through this interview process, analyze your notes and the data from the interviews, and then think about what really came out with the focus of communication being the main focus. What did I learn about communication? Considering, did this exercise change your perspectives on a certain area or topic? Considering, how will you use this knowledge as you move forward in your doctoral journey? Considering, when you do your research, and was there any unexpected awarenesses that evolved from this exercise? So this is a personal challenge for you. And moving you more into critical thinking mode, and creative thinking, because once you reach critical thinking, I'm going to mute you, Douglas. Yeah, okay, I lost my thoughts there. Give me a moment. But anyway, think of this is also sort of like a mini qualitative study in a sense. You know, you're going to go out with the qualitative study. Most times you're going to do interviews. So this, you can look at this as a practice opportunity for you. Be very aware of your body language in an interview process. Be very aware of how you relate to the person. You don't need, in an interview, you should not be the one talking. It should be the interviewee. I know people who have a tendency to like to talk a lot, take over interviews, and they miss out on gathering all of this beautiful data because they feel that they need to talk. Don't talk in interviews. You just ask a question, or what I like to do is I ask one main question. I let them start talking, and then I just take off from whatever they're saying to ask them additional questions to encourage that dialogue and increase that dialogue, because the goal is to get them to talk, not to hear you talk. So that is, you can look at this as a mini exercise in what to do in a qualitative study. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions? Now remember, you're not going to be answering those questions. You're going to analyze your notes from the interview process. Look for any themes or codes, is what we call it in research. Is there something that the 2 or 3 people have stated that are the same? That would be a theme.
Dr. Hill,
Yes, ma'am.
do we need to list what question we asked?
I don't know. I'm not interested in the interview. I'm interested in the sense-making piece. I want to see that 500 to 700 word discussion on your impressions about the process and your personal reactions to the process. What did it do? What did it do for you with respect to communication and dialogue? What did you gain from this? I don't want the interview questions. I don't want to know what the interviewees had to say. That's not the purpose for this. The purpose of this is, what did you gain? What did you learn from this? And not about the interview process. Critical thinking, guys. What did you learn about the importance of creating rich dialogue and listening to people? Good question, Sonia. Thank you.
So you're saying, doctor, you're looking for us, even though they may be very enriching and highly complex, to actually contain their answers. It's supposed to be about what we came away with as a game,
This
as
is
a cognitive game.
this is all about you, Douglas.
I'm glad you said that, because I have incorporated lots of answers in my essay, and that was what was really throwing me. I have answers in, I also have questions, but now it's more clear. That really clarifies the problem.
Yeah, and that's something else about assignment descriptions, guys. You look at the very specific thing that is telling you to do. You're going to write discussing the overall impressions of the entire process and include your personal reactions to the process. It's not
That helps.
saying state the interview questions. It's not stating what did the interviewee state. It's asking it's all about you. What did you gain from this?
That helps a lot and saves a lot of time, because I was about to transcribe everything and put it in Appendix A and B for you.
Yeah. I'm glad to save you that kind of time, Jason. That's what I'm here
Thank
for.
you.
My pleasure. Does this help y'all understand the assignment better?
Yes.
Yes, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Would it be helpful should we include a little bit of background kind of to the conversation? Not the actual question, but maybe the environment or the reason
Sure.
why you approach that particular person?
Sure.
Okay.
Anything that you find important to substantiate what you gained from it, Lisa. Again, this is all about you. Doesn't happen often in our lives as we adult, but this is a time for you to reflect on what you have learned through this week. Dialogue, cognitive empathy, making these human connections with another individual. This is all about communication.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That's so helpful. Now it's a really focused assignment. I know that you want us to go into the complications that are now clear with us. It's all about what we're learning.
Yeah, it's all about you guys. Yeah. This isn't about the interview process. This is about you. And keep in mind that this class is focused on critical and creative thinking. Stretch yourself to move beyond your preconceived ideas. Push yourself to think out of this box that we had all were forced into growing up, and stretch yourself to be more accepting and loving and gracious and kind and grateful and all of that, because that, to me, that's all needed for good, solid communication and dialogue with individuals. And guys, when it comes down to it, all we've got's each other. I mean, we're humans. We're interacting with each other. And, why not understand and respect and appreciate and be grateful for people that are in our lives?
It's
Okay.
very true. We have a wonderful group, and we have to find a cohesion and unity, and that makes the experience so much better.
It sure does, Douglas.
These kinds of meetings are for me, are really gift from God. Going to sit down and talk with my teacher and with my classmates.
Awesome. I'm glad you gained so much from it.
I really do. It means the world to me. I look forward to Saturday mornings. I really do. I can't wait for Saturday morning, 8 o'clock lesson.
Okay. Any final questions? Any concerns that you're having or anything?
The concern I have, I did just send you my problem statement, and just ensuring that it aligns up with my program of study. So, but I just sent it to you through Messenger.
Okay. Yeah.
And even though it's about foster care, it's about how I'm trying to see how I can tie it in, because I believe that now with so much technology, a lot of things can be met through technology, even, through foster care, them meeting their needs.
And you're in the DBA program, correct?
What's the DBA?
What program are you in, hon?
I'm in educational technology. I do
Education.
Yeah.
Foster care. So whatever your study needs to have a focus on education of some sort.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, is get to the educational pieces they need to be able to exit out of foster care successfully.
Okay. Yeah, I'll provide you feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in my interview process, pretty much went good. I even though I did it pretty much with parents, I realized that religion and our background has a lot to do with how we think, through these interview processes.
And make sure you make note of that in your discussion.
I definitely will.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So regarding this religion thing and background, you mentioned that it's more about us than the person we are interviewing. So just in case it's the diversity part that we are looking for, let's say I talked with someone and they said something that kind of triggered some emotional feeling for me that it doesn't feel very comfortable that much. Should I include that in my discussion or like the submission, the assignment?
That's what a great question, Dahlia.
So,
Yeah, because this is about you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
want to read your personal reactions to the process.
Okay.
I'm not interested in the process. I already know the process. I want to know your personal reactions to the process. What did you learn from it? What did you gain from it? If you found yourself getting emotional over somebody's comments because it triggered something from previous in your life, what did that do? I mean, why is that important? And did it change your perspective on anything? So that's what I'm looking for. How did this process change your views, perspectives, or opinions on anything? Critical thinking.
Okay.
The more we can recognize our own biases, opinions, perspectives, the more we're going to be open and loving to others.
Yes, okay. Yeah, the thing is that because of the kind of job I do, which is translation, I tend to meet, lots of people that are from different backgrounds and different countries. Mostly they speak Arabic, but we share one common thing, which includes me. We lived almost our whole life in a war zone, okay?
Yeah.
And whatever we talk about, especially this part, what you want it to be, most people lost what they want it to be because you are like, when you are in a war zone, you had the dream someday and it just faded away because of the war and things that's beyond your control. So I believe that those things kind of trigger things in my heart too, because it's
Okay.
not easy to open up about these things, and especially when you lost some dear people, some friends, you lost the whole country. So that's why I wanted to know what kind of like detailed information I should include.
That's up to you, Dahlia.
Okay.
However, I don't want you to be uncomfortable writing this,
Mhm.
but if you gain some additional perspectives on something that will help you elevate who you are, I would be interested in hearing that.
Okay, good.
Where are you located, hon?
Well, I'm in Oregon now, in Portland, but 10 years ago I was in Iraq working for the Washington Post paper in Baghdad Bureau. So this interview process is kind of very familiar for me. I actually enjoyed it when I was a reporter, a journalist before. It was very interesting that, as you mentioned, body language. Some people, like, the minute you sit there, you want to talk, and they grab the pen and they start playing with it or knocking on the table, or like, okay, he's bored, he's not interested, this
Right.
person.
Yeah.
The first minute.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes they roll their eyes when you ask a question, and okay, he's not gonna tell me the truth. I'm not gonna take that answer. It's not true. It's gonna seem funny, but it's very interesting how you look at people, like reactions without them saying anything. So it's very nice process, I would say. Helpful to understand people in general, not only like as a professional side.
Interesting. So do you still write for the Washington Post?
Not anymore. It's because life is different in here. They tend to care about local news more than the war coverage. As a journalist, I used to talk about explosions and car bombs and suicide bombers more than like what happened in that city or a stolen car or something, if you know what I mean.
But you're in Portland.
Yes, I'm in Portland, yes, in Oregon.
So you probably had an opportunity to write some good articles recently.
Not anymore. Too busy, I guess.
Okay.
I have 3 children, all young, and it's interesting. Life is very interesting, and then end up with the lovely program of the PhD. It's really great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so glad that you were able to join us on Saturday mornings, Dahlia.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. If you think of anything.
Dr. Hill,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Cheryl.
Yesterday, I had a meeting with someone, life insurance agent, and we got to talking, like she was interviewing me, but then it switched it around and I was asking her about her, and we got into sharing pictures of family and where she came from. Can I use that, because it was like an interview?
Yes, ma'am.
On both sides.
If you gained something
Dr.
different
Hill,
from
can
it.
you hear me?
Yes.
I got lost contact.
I'm sorry, Douglas, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, doctor. I'm sorry. Somehow I lost contact.
I think that was my finger hit the mute button accidentally. So
That's okay.
my
That's all right.
apologies.
That's right.
Yeah, Cheryl, that will work.
Because
Yeah.
it was really interesting how we just opened up to each other, and
reflect on what created that
okay.
comfort. Okay, because
Thank you.
that's the key. That's the key.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Cheryl, for
Yes, thank you,
asking.
Dr. Hill. Thank you for
You're
opening
welcome.
up and explaining the assignment, because I got home at Western time after 3 in the morning. And I was just so frustrated because I had this, the right word in education is a collage. This collage of questions and answers in enriching epic history, beautiful history from intelligent people. But I thought this is not the assignment, and I didn't even answer the questions. And you made it clear that we're supposed to be discussing the communique process and how we convey to the people what we learned in the process, not the dialogue, not the questions answered, but what we've learned. That really helped open my eyes, because I was so confused. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
I'm glad that was helpful, Douglas.
Very helpful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And thank you to class for opening up. The questions from all of you were powerful. And I think that these kinds of times of sharing help us to bounce ideas off each other and to learn more. It's, to me, a very appreciative inquiry.
Yeah, I agree.
One last question, Dr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Once these 8 weeks are over, are we still invited to your Zoom classes on Saturday morning? You know we're going to need you. You have to have a special class for all your students in this class, so we can say, Dr. Hill, what is this professor talking about?
If it's a happy hour, Cheryl, I'll be up for it. Yeah.
Yay! Everybody's in? Let's
Well,
do
I'll be
it.
there.
I love it. I
I'm
would
done from
love
8
it.
o'clock Western time. I'll
Got to
be
get
there.
it in now before the class is over, you know? So now you know. We're going to be setting this up, Dr. Hill. You're not getting away from us. You're stuck until the end of the programs.
Oh boy, what have I done?
You know you love it. Listen, I
Yeah,
look
this
forward
is-
to Saturday mornings, just like Derek said. I look forward to it. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, no, yes, you need to go. So yes.
Well, I sure enjoy it too, guys. I do look forward. You know, I talked to, I'm the lead faculty for the Access program. So I've got 10 members on my team.
Yay.
And we had our monthly meeting Thursday night. And I was telling them, I said, you know, I just look forward to Saturday mornings. I have the Saturday morning chat with my 714 class, and it's just awesome. And 3 or 4 of them are going, I don't want to give up my Saturday mornings. I said, well, I was hesitant at first, but give up my Saturday morning, but there's nothing better. You know, anything, I can do all that other stuff afterwards. That's no big deal. But yeah, this has been a special group. I've really enjoyed this.
Dr. Hill, your 714 class appreciates you.
Yeah,
For real.
absolutely.
Yes, we
That
do.
you can take to the bank.
There's so many things that we'd never understand if it weren't for you answering and indeed begging the question and employing us to share. It's just a wonderful experience.
Yes.
I'm so glad that y'all enjoy it. I do too, just as much. So anyway, it's 11:04.
Okay.
I've got to mow my yard today.
I have to do laundry.
What more?
I guess it's for all of us. Back to our regular schedule programming now.
There we go.
Back to reality.
I do have a question for y'all.
Yes.
I had 2 other Doc 714 classes started this week.
Mhm.
And what are your thoughts on having them join our Saturday morning chat, or do you want to be selfish and just leave it as us?
Well,
That
truth
would
be
be
told,
awesome.
I'm gonna tell you,
I think it'd be
I would want to be selfish, but then again, that's not fair because maybe integrating everybody will open up new channels for other things.
I agree.
I think more people
I agree. I think that we should include them because they get the advantage of hearing us, and we can learn from them also as babes. Coming from
Yes.
wisdom, it can be a wonderful experience for everybody.
right.
So you
And
guys would be
Dr.
up to
Hill-
that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
D-
yes.
Dr. Hill, I was going to ask, I know throughout the week, if we have any questions, we can ask, but I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm not sure if we can create a group to where, just to kind of see where everybody's at. I guess because I'm apprehensive about where I'm at. I haven't been dedicating the 15 minutes. I know, shame on me, but I just feel like if I hear others and where they're at, maybe it kind of, I don't know, will inspire me or help me, or I don't know.
Okay, this goes back to the very first week. I don't know if anybody saw it, but I did post in the message board to my fellow students. Here's my phone number. Does anybody want to discuss about this particular class? Hello? Nobody answered me.
Well, guys,
I was trying to hook it up so we could have a buddy talk, you know.
and
like-
conspire against the faculty member. I know how
Never,
you all are.
ever.
I'm
do-
your post because I've thought about it since the last class as well, that there's a lot of similar faces. If we work together, we can help each other figure out what's going on and maybe learn something else. That's why I look forward to all the discussions, because everybody else's view is different and I learn more.
We
And
can also help motivate and encourage each other too.
exactly. And
Well, I think it's huge because when you have the younger folks, I use that word, join us, then they can hear what, if I use the word again, more experienced students have learned, and be a huge boon. I can put myself in their place and see how much I could learn from those who've been at it for 6 to 8 weeks. And then from our perspective, I think that sometimes, like the Lord said, out of the mouths of babes, that's what the wisdom. we can learn from them because they'll have insights that never occurred to us. We're so busy. I'm so busy. Sometimes I can't see the forest for the trees. So I think it'd be a win-win.
Excellent. You know, and I do encourage you all to make these connections among yourselves and move forward by keeping in touch. I do want to, have you ever used, I think we used Collaborate at the very beginning, or did we just always go with Zoom?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Okay, so you can see my screen, the classroom.
Mhm.
In this Blackboard Collaborate,
Yeah.
you guys can start a session anytime you want to.
Oh, how cool.
I check that periodically and nobody's ever in there but me. So I just stopped going.
Well, what I was getting ready to suggest is you can always send, you know, at the very beginning of a class, a private message in the classroom to all the class members, letting them know, you know, I would be up for how about if we all meet and collaborate Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, and somebody could go in and start the collaborate session. And then if somebody wanted to drop in and have discussions or work on something together, you can.
Mhm.
So, you know, don't feel like you can't use that, because that is there for you.
Okay.
And of course, there's always Facebook, but Facebook is so
No.
stupid right now. Oh
I
my
can't
God.
use Facebook. I really, oh, no.
But
no.
you know, you can, what are some other ways that you all could connect outside of class to stay in touch with each other? There's always email.
And students can do Zoom too. Also, you could create
Yeah,
Zoom accounts on your own.
and
We could add each other on the Phoenix Connect as doctoral students.
in Phoenix Connect, yeah, that's true. Yeah, great,
Okay.
great ideas, guys. So anyway, just know that Collaborate is there for y'all. You can use it anytime you want to. And a lot of people do, a lot of students do. I personally don't like Collaborate. I think there's a lot of technological glitches with it. That's why I'd prefer Zoom. Nobody has any trouble connecting or anything, and they don't get kicked out. So anyway, that's all I got for you today.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Y'all have a
Appreciate it.
wonderful and safe weekend. And
Okay, Lisa, I'm gonna send you a message. I sent it to you and Dahlia the first week.
Okay.
Okay.
do you feel like we're getting shamed or something? Oh my
No,
gosh.
I'm trying to get us together. So I figure if I start a link with two, everybody else will link in. What is that game? The telephone game? One person, link it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send it to me too.
Okay. Sending it out.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Have a good week till we speak again.
Have-
Bye,
yes.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Douglas. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Hill.
Bye now. Bye now. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.